bits. So we're going to talk about melee rankings. For the most part, I actually think it's pretty straightforward. There's some head-to-head charts on Reddit. I'll link it in a YouTube video. But I think the top 8, there haven't been too many events in 2019. So when I say top 8, I'm going to talk about this in the context of seeding, like how I would seed an event, and not really look at it so much as all of 2019, because I think those are two different things. To say like who was the best in 2019, and who would you seed as the number 1 seed for the next major. I think those are two different criterions. So I think that when you say like who would I seed number 1, it's more recency bias. You're looking at recent events, recent results, and I think that makes sense, right? Like who's hot right now and who deserves a better seed is largely reflective of my board's a mess here. Is largely a reflection of how you've been recently performing. But if you were to look at the entire year, then it's a whole different question. So I want to, clarify that and clear that up before we begin this discussion, because some people might go like, well, like why are you being so recency? Taking into account so many recent events and overvaluing them. Well, it's because like it's a seeding kind of criterion where you look at the more recent events. Anyway, kind of going on a short ramble there. So, I think for number 1, Crimson Blur and I actually debated this the other night, and I think it's pretty reasonable to say that it's between Wizzy and X are probably the people you want to seed at number 1 and number 2. And I actually think that you can seed them either way. It's really close. Wizzy has been performing really well. 3 sets on a Hungrybox, and he's just second place. Literally won an event recently. So I think his 3 placements in the entire year have been in recent performances has been like 1st, 2nd, and 4th, with really good wins, no bad losses. So that resume is really impressive. So that I would personally put him at number 1, just because of the consistency and the high overall performance in the last 3 majors. But if you want to say like, well, Axe has also gotten a lot of wins. He deserves it. In fact, he beat Wizzy in the head-to-head. He actually just won the last event. You have a fair case, and I don't want to have pitchforks here. So like, if you want to put Axe at number 1 for the next tournament or Wizzy at number 1, there are reasonable arguments for both. You're not wrong in picking one over the other. And that's just to show how close it is. So I don't want people to go like, oh, like, why is he picking this player? Both have arguments for number 1 seed. So Wizzy and Axe in whatever order. Personally for me, I say Wizzy number 1, Axe number 2. But if you want to go the other way, totally fine. Next, I have to put Hungrybox in there. Although he's been a little bit cold lately. 2 5th place performances, lost to IBEW, but still, overall, still really good. Won 2 events this year. It's really hard to make a case for anybody else. I mean, I guess you can maybe say Leffen or maybe Mango, but it's kind of a stretch to put either of them higher than Hungrybox at this point. So Hungrybox at number 3, I feel that he belongs in his own tier. I don't think anyone really has a case to debate him that are below him, and it's really hard to make a case to put him higher. So I think Hungrybox at 3 makes sense. Next, we have the next tier of players. I think you can either argue Leffen or Mango. I think Leffen having a really cold performance makes me lean towards Left, where Left has been really consistent. In fact, Leffen's made a joke recently saying that he's always finishing in 3rd. But the key thing here is that he doesn't have bad losses, where Mango lost to IBEW, and granted, people say like he wasn't even trying at that point, but the fact of the matter is that if it's one like bad loss, then it's fine. But we also have to put into consideration that Mango also lost to Magi at Genesis, so those are 2 extraordinarily like relatively bad losses. I'm not saying Magi is a bad player, but like for a person that we perceive to be as high on the rankings as Mango, he shouldn't be losing to Magi and IBDW. But to be fair, IBDW did beat Hungrybox at tournament too, but still we would consider it largely a poor loss by Mango. So I think Leffen's consistency overall and finishing third in the last 3 events has garnered him the 4th seed. And then I think you can put Mango at the 5th seed. And then the next tier is pretty interesting. You have Amsa, who did decently well, but overall his day 2 was marred by the fact that he also lost to IBDW. So you can make a toss between Zane and... I would like to say like Zane and Amsa belong in the next tier, and it's really close. So if you want to pick one of the other, like I think it's perfectly reasonable. Maybe you give it to Amsa, maybe you give it to Zane. It's close. Personally, just flip a coin, and I think either option is reasonable. Next, you have Plup. I think Plup always has the potential to do better and move higher and belong in it. And like he can just put on a good performance on a random day and like possibly even win an event. But ever since Ultimate came out, like he hasn't really shown good results. In fact, the only player he's really beaten in recent memory is Zane, and even then he's lost to Zane at the Summit. So the matchups he's had, and historically he's beaten Mango, and I would say he's honestly the favorite, but like he's lost. So I don't really know where he's tremendously positive in that echelon of players. And if that's the case, then he doesn't really have much of an argument higher than 8th. So that's my top 8. Aside from that, we also have Johnny, who had a really poor performance, but overall has had a strong year. I think some people made the case that he's probably 9th or 10th in that tier with like SFAT and a few others. But I also think that this might be heavily this might have heavy recency bias, but I think IBDW deserves top 10 seeding. Not because it's just one tournament, and that might be overblowing it, but the fact that his one tournament was so strong, he literally, and granted his day 1 wasn't great, but he's beaten 3 top 10 players in that tournament run. He beat Mango, he beat Hungrybox, and there's not too many people, even at peak performance, that could say they did that, can do that even on a good day. So I think that should be rewarded. And so I would put IBDW. The super crazy approach to this would be to seed IBDW at 9th, which would be a little bit overstretching it, and it might be overly a knee-jerk reaction, but there is some merit to it just because of how good that performance was. And to keep in mind, like it's in play that IBDW could flop the next tournament, and we don't know, and people can go like, ha, like I told you that tournament was just a fluke, and that may be true, but that performance was the performance it was, and you can't deny like that. You can't really see SFAT making that kind of run in a tournament, admittedly. And unfortunately, I am a huge SFAT fan because, or fortunately, and this is coming from an SFAT fan, like, I work at CLG, like, I root for my boy, but realistically, like, he's not really going to beat Mango or Hungrybox anytime soon, and neither is Johnny. The other point I want to mention as this match comes to an end is the fact that everything is so matchup dependent, and I think a lot of people are, making these observations. But like, seed, and this is where seeding matters so much. Like, if we seed Axe and Wizzy a certain way, there's scenarios where Axe is forced to play Mango, and that's really rough for Wizzy. Or like, sorry, I'm like mixing up the people, but if Wizzy were to run into Mango instead of Hungrybox, that's much harder for Wizzy than to play against Hungrybox, which is kind of weird to say. So how the 1-2 seed play out in the scheme of things does matter a lot, because the difference between gosh dang it, I'm gonna lose this. But the difference between like Wizzy having to play a really hard matchup in Mango versus playing Hungrybox does make a difference, and it means the difference between possibly losing in winners semis and winning and going to winners finals. Like, it makes it just that much easier. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the seeds play out and what people ultimately decide on. But like, even these minor things will make a huge difference in bracket. And if it so happens that like Axe keeps playing Mango and always avoids Hungrybox, or Wizzy always has to play Mango and never gets to play Hungrybox, then Wizzy kind of gets shafted. So I want to see some degree of randomness in all of this seeding, because it does matter a lot. And when you have people of similar skill and they keep playing the same person over and over again, I think that kind of sucks. So those are my thoughts on like seeding right